Morning everybody. Today I'm currently missing Jasper's sports day at preschool, which is a bit of a shame, but somebody has to be here to sort out our drainage problem. You know what? I think I could do with a shave as well. That's a bit better. I'm gonna have coffee now. Hi. Fantastic. It's actually just... that bell. Once it's gone off, it just keeps going off. So hopefully that's that little crisis sorted out. Clean treatment plant and nice spotless pipes. Nobody wants blocked pipes. These are just some of the joys of living in the countryside. Still, at least we've got mains gas. Last place we had a giant tank of kerosene. Oh my word, that was an absolute nightmare. I've never seen anything eat money so quickly. It was totally nuts. What are you eating there, Jasper?
A biscuit.
And who made that biscuit?
Mummy with Jasper.
So today I'm hoping to talk about something that I've absolutely no idea how I'm going to successfully communicate. So it'll probably be a giant disaster, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. Okay, so I've just watched a very interesting video on YouTube and I will link to it below. This is kind of a video response. Yeah, this is not going to be easy. I'm going to have to do this a little bit later because Sophie's nipped to the supermarket. I'm going to need to use my whiteboard. And that's in the summer house, and I just can't go out there while Jasper is in the sitting room. Ah, nice healthy snacks, I see.
Look, butter beans and vegetables.
Now Sophie's back. I can proceed to try and explain my grand unified theory of everything. Oh my, how long's this vlog post gonna be? Okay, the first thing I want to make completely clear is I am not pro-religions of one sort or another. I'm not anti them. I'm totally agnostic. Is that the right word? Yeah, I think so. There are some things I've noticed about the way the universe is set up which I think are relevant, and they're particularly relevant when some point in the future, as I'm quite sure I will be unable to restrain myself, I will discuss some of my ideas around artificial intelligence as a slightly more complete idea than what you currently find with things like Google DeepMind and AlphaGo and stuff like that, which are very nice programs, but they're not really, they're not, it plays Go really well. It can't make me a cup of coffee if I plug it into a robot. It can't order me a plane ticket. In fact, the list of things it can't do is basically never ending. Whereas for mankind, which actually has an intelligence, a proper core intelligence, the list of things that it can't do is basically zero. Mankind can do anything, literally anything. It's just going to take a bit of work and a lot of time, sort of fundamental rules of physics aside. Making hydrogen work, that's probably not possible. But that won't be for lack of man's ingenuity. It's simply because making hydrogen work is not an economically sensible thing to do, given the laws of physics. I have absolutely no idea, like literally zero idea how I'm gonna make this work, but I'm gonna make it work somehow. We don't need this. I don't know if you've watched my friend Justin's video. It's very interesting. I recommend giving it a quick watch. Basically, the premise of it is that there are simply too many variables in the world, and it's all too finely tuned to support a concept, in his opinion, of a universe where it wasn't designed by God to work. 100 trillion years it would take him to roll his dice so that the expansion rate of the universe would be just spot on for, atoms and solar systems and organic molecules and simple animals and complex animals and us. That's fine. Not disputing the mathematics behind that. What I'd like to do is have a little look at the sort of macro quantum ideas behind how a universe works and how that actually solves that mathematical problem for us. So let's make the universe black. And this whiteboard at the moment is whatever the universe sits in. And we've got our universe here. And we're going to have to roll this dice for eternity before just one of the very finely tuned parameters that make life work is right. However, what happens if we define the universe a little bit more rigorously? The universe is everything that exists, and everything that exists has to be connected in some way to everything else that exists. Otherwise it wouldn't really be part of the same. If you take that as your supposition, then there'd be lots of universes. Let's suggest an infinite number of them. And here's the tricky bit. The whiteboard outside of these black circles doesn't actually exist. And how do we define not existing? Well, let's define it like this. In my hand, at the moment, there is no coffee cup. I think we can all agree on that. Huh? Ooh, I like coffee. Oh, okay. So a little bit of editing aside, there's no coffee cup. So this whiteboard doesn't really exist. It's not part of a universe. It's just non-existent substrate. A bit like the idea that I have a coffee cup when I actually plainly don't have a coffee cup. Now here's the funky thing about that. If that's the case, and there's no connection between these different universes, then in order for one of these universes to actually exist at all, it needs to have life in it. That one's got life in it. These ones, no, 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 no. So that's the point. No matter how many universes you have, the only one that's going to make any actual difference to anybody is the one that's actually got an anybody inside it. And I think that's pretty much described by Stephen Hawking, a very bright chap, as the strong anthropic principle. Now, the whiteboard is the universe. So only things on this whiteboard exist. That's me with my camera. And this is where we get all quantum mechanic-y. If something over here, which you can probably barely see, as the number 2, is a very, very long way away from me. I mean, like, such a long way away that it makes absolutely no difference if that's a 2 or a 1. I'll change it to a 1. There we go. Oh, don't tell me it's... Okay, this is going to be one of those the universe in 60-second things because my dinner is basically ready. Yeah, so it's a very long way away, like a huge distance. And when I'm talking about distance here, what I really mean is distance in terms of any of the dimensions of the universe. And all the dimensions of the universe are represented on this 2-dimensional whiteboard. So that includes time, space, scale, which I bet you didn't even know was a dimension. I bet a lot of people don't. Maybe I just cut that bit out. Anyway, so you've got all these various different dimensions of the universe. And what's important is how far an object is from the observer. And that's the reason why that's life. Me, you, everybody. When you have something very, very small or something very, very far away, the particulars of exactly what that is become less and less and less important. There's always some relationship because it is, after all, on the whiteboard. But just some. There's a number over there. Is it a 1? Is it a 2? Is it a 3? Does it matter? No, it doesn't matter at all. Not to me over here because we're on other sides of the universe. Except, what happens if that number, all the way over here, if it's a 2, no, if it's a 1, then it gets me a little bit closer to being a little stick man, doesn't it? Well, if that's the case, maybe it does matter. Doesn't matter to me or you, but in time, that 1 could become a person. Ah, well, time is a dimension, as we said. We've moved a little bit closer to having an observer present, something which is actually going to care what number it is. So now, it's definitely a 1. Bottom of that 1 could be small, it could be big, blah, blah, blah. Oh, hang on a minute. If the bottom of that 1 is quite big, then it would be almost like 2 legs, wouldn't it? Well, if it's almost like 2 legs, maybe it should be 2 legs. I mean, after all, it could be any of these things, except if it's the one with big legs, then it looks a little bit more like a person. And that's basically the sort of quantum concept of evolution in a nutshell. When I say a universe has to contain life, I obviously don't mean it has to contain life at all time. You know, time is a dimension. We don't have to, it doesn't have to contain life at all points in space. Why would it have to contain life in all points in time? It just has to have something in there that gives it a good old reason to have existed in the first place, because otherwise it's just a possibility. And unfortunately, just like with my possible cup of coffee, which almost existed, that means it won't exist. Oh, as this relates to a sort of a concept of artificial intelligence in particular, what is it that makes something like me or you sentient and conscious? What we basically have is a kind of fractal reflection of an entire universe, the entire universe, in our minds. It's the first thing that an intelligence learns about the universe. It learns that it exists and that other things exist as well. Or maybe that's the second thing it learns. Either way, that's where it starts. In other words, it's the great I am. And it builds up from there, and it builds this sort of wonderfully intricate, interrelated, multi-dimensional pattern that approximates to the world around it. And it's by using that little mini universe that you actually get the ability to think creatively. Self-optimizing algorithms, they have no oomph of their own. They are, what is the word? Golems. Okay, I better go get my dinner, otherwise... Why does this always happen? I have no idea. Anyway, I hope you found today's vlog post interesting. Sorry if it's a bit heavy or just plain mental. But if you have enjoyed it, remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you tomorrow for the next installment of my daily vlog. Bye! Ooh! There's that coffee again. Just keeps popping in and out of existence. It's literally the quantum particle of coffees. Anyway, better go. Bye. Oh, yummy looking. Coming.